Bernie's in the house. What's up, Bernie? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Bernie, how are you?
Bernie.
Very good, man.
How do you, you're all over the place. How do you keep, do you have someone that takes care of your schedule for you?
No, actually, I'm handling it poorly myself right now, but I am getting all over, and I've got a college football segment as the Buckeyes dominated, and Will Howard last night, and Medina's Mr. Ohio, Drew Aller, and Penn State. I'll be heading down to the Orange Bowl game next week, speaking of going places.
Let me ask you, since you wanted to talk about college, let's ask about your alma mater. What do you have to say about the Cam Ward thing, him getting the record and then sitting out?
So I actually can't believe that Shedeur Sanders played the whole game the other day and that Cam Ward actually played a half in the game. And hats off to both of them for playing in the game and in this new age of NILs and college football, and guys, whether it's this new age or the past, guys they've been turning down the college bowl games for the last, say, 5 or 10 years. So to have the top couple picks in the draft actually playing in the games that weren't for the national championship, I was actually pretty amazed. And Shedeur Sanders got his butt kicked. I mean, they didn't block anybody in their game. So the risk he took health-wise, I was actually really surprised at that. I didn't know Cam was in it playing a record. I thought it was...
There's like most passing TDs or something.
Career.
He said it. For him, he's had so many of them, and he actually broke one of my records as the most yards passing as a Hurricane quarterback. And people ask me, they're like, man, you had to be bummed out that Cam got one of your records. I'm like, damn, it's so old I didn't even know I had it. I was actually thankful he did it because I didn't know it was still there.
I can't believe people criticized him for, the game
It's the Pop-Tart Bowl. Who cares?
I can't believe he played in the Pop-Tart Bowl to start with. I mean, look, it's not because of you. I mean, it's. I know more of him because of this, but I love the way he plays football. I love this patience. I mean, in the game, for him to take that risk of playing is one thing, but then I was one of the probably few fans watching the Pop-Tart Bowl to see, and not to see because from a Kane perspective. I wanted to see how he was going to play. And bluntly, to make sure he doesn't get hurt and stuff, and then to see his level of calmness in there. He threw a couple of throws where, again, I'm sitting down and we're on TV and stuff, but man, the calmness of his feet, the way he's able from his lower body down to be able to just, with people flying around him, to have such calmness and stillness and still then make those throws. He's ready for the pros. I'm really looking forward to watching him play.
It's funny you said that, Bernie, because we had Sean King on earlier, and Sean King didn't give Cam Ward that ringing endorsement. He felt like none of these quarterbacks should be high picks, and he said that, if it was the Browns that come calling, that Cam Ward really wouldn't work out because of the Cleveland Browns organization and the quarterback situation. If you look at
that's a problem for young quarterbacks looking at us. I mean, look, I'm biased that I love us here in Cleveland, but if you're objective from the outside looking in, and you've watched the 38 quarterbacks that have preceded whoever's going to be the quarterback next year, we don't do a good job of building and nurturing quarterbacks, and this has been a graveyard for young, medium, and old quarterbacks. So that's absolutely something you have to rectify.
Could your boy Cam, could he overcome those hurdles here in Cleveland, do you think?
Well, I really think that yes is the short answer, and it's not because he's a Hurricane, and I'm not just saying for blind loyalty, but yes, with the caveat of it's imperative that we rectify the personality issue of who we are offensively. Okay, and that was a whole cry of this whole season. It's been one of the main things we've talked about, whether we're talking about Cam Ward and or the success or failure of the 2024 Browns, what went wrong with Deshaun, what went wrong with the offense and stuff, trying to be all things to all people with running the ball, throwing the ball, shotgun, 2-minute drill. If we concise our offense, and I believe and this may scare Shedeur Sanders, and this may scare Cam Ward, and to say that we aren't going to be a spread team right off the bat, that we're going to be a Kevin Stefanski, more of the 2022 Browns or 2023 Browns, the successful Joe Flacco offense. That's really what I believe is best suited for a young quarterback. Caleb Williams would be head and shoulders better and possibly not ruined like possibly he's getting ruined, and Bryce Young in Carolina could already be ruined, like Mitchell Trubisky was ruined in Chicago by throwing him into these offenses that are put too much pressure on the quarterback in terms of spread and shotgun and no running game, and to have them evolve into the game with some of the play action running game, and manage the game, which has become almost a sinful word to say about quarterbacks, but
game manager.
Yeah, manage that with the play action and evolve to it. Then I absolutely believe then he has a chance to rectify that. But throwing him into last year's situation, any cue, I think is going to get more of the same.
Kudos to Bryce Young, by the way, who played really well the second half of the season.
Yes.
Even though he still has very little talent around him, although he has a nice veteran receiver now with Adam Thielen. Bernie, it's the last week of the season. The Browns are an 18-point underdog, 18 and a half. They're on the road. The Ravens still have a lot to play for because they're trying to win their division. If you're a Browns player with a 3-13 record, you know that Saturday night or Sunday morning you're going to be home and the season's going to be over. How are you motivating yourself to play this weekend?
So fortunately, I haven't been in this spot a lot, so I'm not a resident expert at that, because I would have, and I mean this as a joke, but I would have impaled myself already in my life if this would have been a consistent part of my annual New Year's resolution as to how to motivate myself when your team's mathematically eliminated in a dismal season like this. We talked the last couple weeks. It's imperative that you have personal pride. If you don't have personal pride, you have to have pride that I want to be on this team next year. You know, I heard the pregame show yesterday or the other day where you were talking, you know, you guys were joking about having 4 years in the league. And when you're at the end of your third year, you want to make sure you get your fourth year. At the end of your fourth year, you want to make sure you get your fifth year. 3-13 teams, those players aren't in demand. So if you're a player out there for the Cleveland Browns and you are watching this show right now, you shouldn't be. You should be at practice and stuff. And you should somehow, some way, the Jimmy Johnson line, figure out a way to look really good on film, because this is a game that other teams are going to look at, and front office people are going to look at to see who's got heart and spirit and I could count on next year for 2025. Because if this stuff keeps going down, they want dudes next to them sitting at the table that know they show up the day after New Year's to do the job. Right. They don't want to be with guys who they're not sure going to show up and not show up to play, because if you don't show up to play, I'm getting whacked next year too. So the front office guys, they're going to be watching. The coaches are going to be watching. Players need to know that, and it's not a given. You know, the tomorrow, that line our parents say, tomorrow's not a given for us. Well, for sure, next football season's not a given, and you've got to look. You really need to look good for your own self-preservation, if nothing more.
Let me ask you about this game as well. DTR or Bailey Zappi, which one do you want to see on Saturday?
Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. Bernie was a really bad boy in 2024, and for your penance, thou must watch the damn game and make that decision. Okay, my Pinocchio nose is getting bigger. My open invitation into the Catholicism has been reneged because I'm only thinking negative thoughts as to that answer. I feel bad for DTR. Look, it was miserable out there this past Sunday. We shouldn't be throwing the ball 47 times like that. You got to keep the game moving. You got to give them a chance. whoever the QB is, in the play action, move the pocket game. Thou is not meant to be in the middle of a pocket like that basketball is with the four of us around him like that. So I would like to see Zappy get a few snaps just because he's been in there and he's started some games, but we know that the quarterback room is changing next year. And look, these are both good young men. They've been put in situations that it's clear they're not the Super Bowl future.
Mm-hmm. Bernie, Jimmy has him as all but guaranteed that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry will return next year as head coach and general manager. You know, you look at the tenureship, you look at this season, more than likely the Browns are going to finish this season 3-14. Can you bring Kevin Stefanski back as head coach after a 3-14 season?
I absolutely can. I would. Two coach of the years in 6 years. The dysfunction of life, and not just the football team, but the COVID stuff, and managing what he has. I believe he should come back. I believe change for change's sake doesn't always work. Matter of fact, it's been more disruptive than actually positive. So yeah, it gives us a cool offseason, gives us easy things to talk about, but changing for change's sake, and who do we really have in mind for that? And I believe Coach Stefanski's done a really good job, considering this is more of a team approach as opposed to a dictator approach that I was used to more when I was younger in that. And then from the Andrew Berry perspective is I know people are on his case for the draft picks and stuff, but I really believe in the analytics. I also believe that the convergence of analytics and data coming with old school football. And maybe in the John Dorsey, Alonzo Highsmith side, we were into the old school football and not as much the analytics. And then when they left, we went into the analytics side with Paul DeBattista and Andrew Berry, and maybe we went too much of the analytics. I so believe that Paul DeBattista and Andrew Berry, and I know this may be in the minority, but they're really smart, and I believe they're going to understand that they maybe went a little too far, and the convergence of that, I believe that they're going to get it right, and they give us the best chance of getting it right. So just like switching a coach, I believe for change's sake there would be tough. That's actually easier than changing the front office and the personnel for that, because that's a whole other game, and we haven't got that right since even when I played. So we're on 40 miserable years of that decision. So I believe those guys have, with their analytics and their data and their just flat out intelligence, they're going to be able to sit in a room and be able to say, hey, I haven't got all this stuff right. The data shows it, and my intelligent and common sense shows it, and they're going to be able to really grow and morph that together. And I believe that's given us the best chance for success. And on the Jim Haslam stuff, one of the things, like, from the fans out there, like, I know people are going to say, like, God, we screwed away over $300 million, the most money ever spent on players in the league, and look at, we're going to get hopefully the first or second pick of the draft for that. But instead of looking at that as a negative, I look at it like, damn, it's his money, it's not ours, okay? And if he wants to win that bad and he can spend that type of coin to give us a chance to win, he's going to do it again in the future. So just because he did this once, if we could get some of these pieces right, we also have ownership that will spend to be able to bluntly outspend the Steelers, Bengals, and Ravens.
But just spending, Bernie's not enough. You know that. Like, he can't overly meddle. I just have some problems with that. But to your point.
Well, I also think they're going to learn from.
I hope so.
From some of that too.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I do think what you bring up about old school playing from the gut and using analytics. People are so. The biggest problem with analytics is that when people started talking about it, they used a different word. If they just would have said stats instead of analytics, nope, this wouldn't be a big deal. But the smartest franchises use both together in a wise way. If you're only doing one or the other, you're wrong. Right. So I think that's definitely it, and maybe they have gone too far. Maybe they were too far this way, now they're too far that way. They've got to find the place in the middle if they're going to ultimately have success, and they haven't been able to do that yet. But I'm curious, as we head to the playoffs here, for just get a few minutes from you on the teams that are going to the playoffs. It's interesting, the Chiefs are having another great year, but Patrick Mahomes individually is not having a great statistical season for the first time in his career. In fact, he didn't even make the Pro Bowl for whatever that's worth. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. I had somebody, our friend Darren Smith from Kansas City, try to make an argument that Mahomes is still the MVP because they're 15-1. I don't agree with that, but what do you make of all these great quarterbacks in the AFC and Mahomes having a down year statistically?
Wow, is that impressive? Those names of quarterbacks right there. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes to be an alternate, and I actually think Patrick's played actually really good this year, and the stats don't maybe back it up, but the offensive line has been really woeful for them. I think it's masterful, almost Houdini-ish, to what he's been able to do behind a deficient offensive line and void of really difference makers at the receiver position too.
Well, Rice was hurt for most of the year.
Yeah, so I actually think, and then I love Kareem Hunt, but he's the leading rusher. He wasn't
Pacheco's been hurt.
He wasn't even on the team, for training camp in the first part of the season. So actually he's done more with less. So that's where the Browns and this draft conversation and us getting it right really has to materialize, because it's an uphill stream in the AFC. Our teams are loaded. When the great Patrick Mahomes, who is not having a bad year and is so friggin' resourceful to make plays in crunch time and win games, and he really could be the fourth quarterback. I mean, when you say Josh Allen and
Burrow and Lamar.
Burrow and Lamar, I mean, these guys are playing at genius levels of play. So, we have so far to go within our team to even match those type guys. So, right now, almost like I believe it is in the college football playoff, where people are like, who's been the best team all year? That doesn't really matter. It's who's the hottest team and the healthiest team right now. It's really the same coming into these playoff times, and the teams that are the healthiest, that are playing the best, who can get through this game. That's why I like Barkley playing and Hurts playing for Philly this week.
Barkley ain't.
He shouldn't, even though he
shouldn't.
Yeah, even though 100 yards gets him.
Not playing.
I would play. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I know you'd want to. I know you and me, but we'd want to. But yet, that's bigger stuff at stake. Yeah. That's where sometimes we the adults gotta help us from ourselves.
Well, I'll give credit to Barkley, because if he pushed hard enough, he could have probably been in there if he would have pushed. But he's being very selfless.
Bull, it's funny you mentioned Barkley, because that's actually the first part of this game that I kind of...
All right, we got a special game, Bernie. Do you know about this?
No, I have not told Bernie.
No. Okay.
And Earl knows about this because he wasn't supposed to be on the panel today, so I ran it by him on Tuesday when we made this. So Earl, you can chime in last.
Bernie can't hear you, though.
Cool. I hear.
Bernie can hear.
Does?
Yeah, Bernie can hear.
I didn't know he had an earpiece. Okay.
So this game is called Will It Happen?
All right.
And there's a few records at stake across the NFL in Week 18 that could be broken if players played. So, Steve, you take the first one here. This was about Saquon. Saquon's not playing.
100% it would have been broken.
If he played.
Against the Giants, of course it would have been
100%. It was against the Giants team, 1,000%.
But how do we feel about that if he breaks it in 17 games when Dickerson had to do it in 6?
I love it because he has 40 less carries than Eric Dickerson has currently.
Enough. That's
so
fair
I'll
point.
be fine.
I wouldn't care. Times has changed. When Eric Dickerson was playing, they didn't play 17 games. You can only play the games that's on your schedule.
That's all right.
So the next one.
I'll tell you, Eric Dickerson, I love. He kind of said that the 17 games does make a difference. Yeah. and after, you know what? And after watching the Mark Gastineau, Aaron Rodgers thing, and how, if your name has the record, how that means more in the memorabilia post world. Hadn't really contemplated that.
Yep.
So the next 6 players are all playing this weekend. So the next 6 do apply. So the first one, will Mike Evans get 85 receiving yards on Sunday to clinch his 11th straight
Who they playing?
1,000-yard season?
Playing a
for
bad
the
team, I know that.
The Panthers.
He's getting.
They're
going. If I was the Panthers, I'd triple team him just so he wouldn't get it.
Hey, and this is, I have no inside information for the gamblers out
the Saints,
there,
sorry, the
okay?
Saints, not the
But
Panthers,
Baker
Saints.
is so cool, man. And he knows who his guy is. And in the old days, you made sure as a quarterback that was your responsibility.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
You knew who had the incentives, who needed 5 catches instead of 3 catches for the extra $50,000, or what records. So Baker will see to that one.
100%. Baker did not make the Pro Bowl, by the way.
I triple team him.
Baker did not make the Pro Bowl.
They're playing the
If I'm the
Saints, not the Panthers.
Saints,
my
if
bad.
I'm the
Saints, yeah.
Saints, I'm triple teaming.
He's still gonna get it.
No,
though.
he not.
Yeah, he is.
All right, well, you guys mentioned Baker.
He's in a
Baker's
triple
up
team
next.
on the
Marshawn ain't
Lattimore.
there. Marshawn ain't there.
No, I'm saying I still would triple
They're not
team.
gonna
Even
triple
more
team.
reason why I
Go
triple
ahead.
team.
He's going to get
All
it.
right,
Go
so
ahead.
Baker's up next. If Baker completes over 90% of his passes this week,
That's
even if
not
it's
happening.
9 out of 10, he will break Drew Brees' single-season NFL record for completion
I got to give him a
percentage.
ton of credit because before this year, he had been, at his time with Cleveland, he was very inaccurate.
In college, he was very accurate.
And this year, he's been magnificent. But he's not
He ain't getting
going
that.
over 90%.
What makes Bake's season even greater is, in Cleveland, he did have the shoulder stuff with the crappy wind, which makes it tougher to be accurate and stuff. But even another shout out to Bake. God, you guys have an offense that's downfield throwing. So he's not throwing just checkdowns and screens. You have that high completion percentage.
He will Sunday.
It's
He's had a
impressive.
magnificent season, and what helps also, what helps for him statistically, it doesn't help them win. Their defense isn't that good, so he's constantly having to score, and he's got good talent around him. I know he lost Chris Godwin. Mike Evans is great. Bucky Irving has been sensational as a rookie, and Cade Otton's developed into a nice tight end. But Baker's had a magnificent season. He deserves a lot of credit.
All right, next
You
up,
deserve a lot of credit for knowing all those names on Tampa Bay, brother.
That's
That
because
was
I'm a
good.
fantasy sports lunatic there, Bernie.
he's a god in his
Go
own
ahead.
way.
No,
Next.
he's
I am
not a god.
I'm a
He's not a
fantasy
god.
god. I'm
He's
the
not a
fantasy
god.
god. Thank you.
All right, next up.
Calling him out.
Miles Garrett needs 9 sacks versus the Ravens to break the single-season sack record at 22
That's
and a half. Can he get
ridiculous.
Lamar 9 times on Saturday?
Not a chance.
He won't get him once.
Not a chance. He gonna get a sack though.
Bernie, you go before me.
He has a chance to
I'm just thinking if Mikey's still drinking from the holidays.
He might be.
He has
He might-
9
You
sacks.
don't
Isn't
have
he-
to sit up there with him when he creating this stuff, man. I'm telling you. It's
Isn't
something
he
else.
tied with Hendrickson for the most sacks in
He
the
is.
league?
They both have 14 right
So
now.
they both have a chance to break it or to set, be the high for the year.
Yeah.
He wants to get that.
So you think 9 out of the question?
Of course, it's out of the question.
I had to ask.
9 sacks.
All right, let's get to the
Insane.
next one.
I give him 8. I wouldn't say 9. I give him
All right,
8.
next
Hey,
one.
with the way the score is going to be,
Yeah.
will Lamar throw 9 times?
Good point. I probably won't need to.
Well, on
That's
the flip
also
side,
for him also a game, too, where they should be careful with Lamar running around.
Yeah, but they do need to win. Well, especially if the Steelers win, they need to win the division.
well, they play first, so
Right.
they'll know.
They'll know. Yeah.
All right, next one. Speaking of throwing the ball a lot, will DTR throw for 5,051 yards against the Ravens to break Peyton Manning's single-season record of 5,477 yards? Do you see 5,051 being in the cards?
I just love to see.
DTR.
I just love to see 2.
I don't even know if he
200.
can throw 51 yards, let alone 5,000.
200 yards.
I just want to see him
That's
throw a
silly,
touchdown. I just want to see him throw a touchdown.
What
pass.
about doesn't Burrow have a chance to get to 5,000 yards?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
You need like 300 and something.
What does he need to get to 5,000?
Like 352?
He needs. Nah, he's at 4,641, so 337.
Hey,
339.
watching Joe Burrow play the whole season, but the last month in particular, and as a closet fan of the Hard Knocks, watching him being mic'd up and the way he talks and handles himself, and that passion. Man, I have a love fest for him before this, even more so. That guy's at another level.
Is he your MVP? of the year?
The
Between
the-
Josh, him, and Lamar.
Like, I love all those guys. Like, all four of the quarterbacks, and add Patrick Mahomes, like, all four of them are regular to below average teams without the man. There's four men. Like, these guys are, like, head and shoulders. I mean, the four horsemen of the NFL.
They are the class of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and
those four guys.
and Joe said something in the Hard Knocks thing, just in passing the other day. He goes, "Damn, it's a shame the season's over. I'm rolling." Like, he's rolling. Like,
well, they still got a chance to make the playoffs.
Well, he's got a
it's
chance.
Not likely.
But, like, there was, and again, I'm not making this about me, but there was towards the end of the 86-87, playing in the AFC Championship games, second half of the fumble game in particular, I hit a zone where I just knew everything I touched was going to work. Everything around me was going to work. The players knew what to do. We knew exactly what the defense was.
Yeah.
You couldn't hide it anymore. And I see, like, Joe Burrow, I see Josh Allen. Like, when Joe Burrow looks at the defense and you've got Higgins and Chase Young with Chase Brown as a running back, like, they're unstoppable. Like, he's unstoppable right now. And if their defense is just playing just a little bit now, that's a great feeling to have. And, like, I watched Lamar running the other day when they dominated Houston on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Like, they don't believe – the only people they believe that could stop them are themselves.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, it is crazy. Is that it?
Yeah, I had one more, but we got to get the super chats.